people say esoteric things that you cannot prove, and then be permitted to get away with it. He talks about the fact that he suffered trauma in detention. The person that is his media platform reported that he collected a bribe of $30 billion. Did he not suffer harm to his reputation? Of course, he suffered reputational damage. He too must have gone through some trauma because some Nigerians will simply believe it. This is the era where people don't ask questions. They just believe. You lie against people, they just believe. Somebody the other day said Fashola wrote judgment for the appeals
presidential.
Court. Yes, the presidential tribunal. It's also appeal court. Fashola decided that no, I'm not having this, I'm going to court. You have to prove that I wrote the judgment. Absolutely banal things that people do in the name of exercise of freedom. I can't sit here as a journalist and defend defamation of people. I'm not saying Gbajabiamila is a saint. I'll be stupid to say that, somebody that I'm not close to. I don't have his phone number as we speak, and I don't need to have it. But what we are saying is 30 billion. Dangote, even Forbes rates Dangote as being valued at $13.4 billion.
Assets.
He doesn't have 30 billion. What is the value of his refinery? If he had that kind of money, will he go and take loan from a consortium of banks to build refinery? Do people know what $30 billion is? Do they know? The Lagos Coastal Road that we are building, it will cost 15 trillion naira to build it, which means what Gbajabiamila was said to have, the bribe that he was said to have received, will build 2 Lagos Calabar coastal roads, 2, and there will still be leftovers. Let's face it. If you let's split the matter of defamation from the treatment he got in detention, because the elephant in the room is that story. You publish a story, people picked it. Because when Gbaja had this, he said since he became chief of staff, people had been saying all sorts of things about him that the security agencies should investigate. And they got hold of him. I don't know what happened to him in detention. But as a newsman, I'm interested in knowing the means by which Gbajabiamila collected $30 billion. Which banking instrument did he use to take all of this money? Or did they simply give him some houses in Abuja and other places, amounting to 30? Because I don't know how. What 30 billion naira?
It's a lot of money.
Look at Maersk that the president went to do a deal with. The Danish company that does infrastructure, port infrastructure, is the 174th biggest company in the world. Yet, their turnover in a year was 51 billion. So one individual, not even listed among the richest in our country, is not an Otedola, it's not a Dangote, it's not Abdulsamad Karabiu. He had more than 30 billion. He could afford to give one person 30 billion and then he could still give others. So if he bribed the chief of staff alone with 30 billion, how about other people? Is he the only one who will determine his matter? So that means we are saying that perhaps that boy alone had in excess of $100 billion. They don't even know what $30 billion is. So let's deal with the elephant in the room.
Right.
Did this thing happen? Did the chief of staff abused his office by collecting 30 billion. We must be focused. We must put our eyes on the ball. Let us know, did he really do it? And if you are reporting something against an individual, you must be ready to provide your facts.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know, the NUJ is begging Gbajabiamila not to go to court. Frankly, it would take tremendous effort to convince him not to go to court. Because if you lied against me, like some people now, one guy on a social media platform, we are looking for him. Myself and my friends, we are looking for him because I'm also going to make an example out of him. He said, Bello gave me an SUV, a bulletproof SUV. You all see me. People know my house. Where is the bulletproof vehicle that Bello gave me? Huh? So he has to. We are looking for him. Once we get him, honestly, there will be no mercy. You won't, even after the verdict, you will not be able to convince me. We must make examples out of people who simply sit down and try to destroy other people. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And if we want journalism sanitized in our country,
right,
we cannot spare those who write stories that make the rest of us look like fools. No, 30 billion, whatever they've done to him in detention, I do not know. But let us focus on the real issue.
Right.
Where are the facts about this? Can you provide the facts so that we can then deal decisively with Gbajabiamila?
Right. Talking about facts, Mayor, this also raised the question about due diligence on the part of journalists and a part of those who, will I say, ascribe themselves as journalists. What are those, let's say, those gatekeeping rules that should be at the back of the mind of these journalists who go about peddling stories without proper fact-checking?
I think the problem has to do with the new age journalism that we are practicing. Before, whether you are in a TV station or you are in a newspaper house, you understand, there are national gatekeepers, natural gatekeepers.
Right.
You have the sub-editor that will look at it. You have the news editor. You have the editor. Those who will check the facts of that story, who will ask you questions, who will demand for proof of facts of those things. Because of that, it is not easy for such stories to get published because it will have fallen short in one of these gatekeeping rules. But the problem we have now is that because of this new age journalism that everybody is practicing, a lot of journalists are not even journalists to start with. Because they have access to the World Wide Web, they can just write anything they like. You will see a lot of reporters who does not even understand what news is. Everybody is now an online publisher. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But one thing, to continue from where PK stopped, one thing that we have to tell ourselves the truth as journalists is that we have to be, we are professionals.
Right.
So we cannot, for whatever reason, whether somebody is a journalist or not, we must not allow people to sit down and write falsehood or peddle falsehood. It's unacceptable. And part of the things that are happening now is that people write outlandish things and they know that nobody will call them to question.
Yes.
They will just believe that I can write whatever I like. There are a lot of online platforms like that write ridiculous things that even yourself, when you read it as a journalist, you feel embarrassed. And in this case, yes, it is not, yes, journalists have rights, I agree. Right. And it is not good for security forces to arrest a journalist and maybe torture him or whatever. I concede that. But you cannot sit down, somebody that has built a career for a long time.
Yes.
And then if you notice, since, politics is a very difficult, very, very difficult game. There will always be intrigues in politics. Since the chief of staff assumed office, there have always been different stories about him. In fact, the president had to come out to tell people that, look, I have confidence in this man, and people should leave him alone. Because there are a lot of stories, he was collecting money to put people on, to give people appointments. He was doing all manners of things. So when somebody now comes and extend that allegation to say, he collected this humongous amount of money without any evidence, without being the truth. It is important that the man so accused should do everything possible to save his own career and image. Because you see, one of the laws of power, reputation is very important. True. You must guide your reputation with your life.
Yes.
Because when you lose it, you lose everything. So, yes, it is not fair, it is not right for security forces to torture journalists, but he who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
He said that he apologized to Gbajabiamila under duress, and that the claim that he was paid 170,000 was also extracted under duress.
And they can proceed to court.
I think the court will,
yes,
the court will resolve
all of that. Yes.
But what is important, provide the proof that an individual,
that the story is true.
Yes.
Because when you write a story, the onus is on you to prove that the story is true.
And
so
look at
the
the online platform that came up with that Yes Daddy audio. You know, when Peter Obi called. Peter Obi said he will go to court. But he has not summoned the courage to go to court up to now.
Yes.
And it's almost 1 year.
Yes, because if you have your facts,
and those guys refuse to retract it. And he has not found the courage to go to court.
To go to court, yes.
All right, let's quickly move on to our next issue of discussion, where travelers and commuters are groaning as fuel scarcity has interrupted business activities in various ways. Petrol stations that have the product are selling between 900 and 1,000 naira per litre. In Abuja, Lagos transporters have hiked fares, while oil marketers insist they are intensifying efforts to tackle the situation. Well, there is dissatisfaction among citizens. Mayor, you know, when we talk about fuel scarcity, we discussed this yesterday, and a lot of issues were raised. We have refineries not working. We have, distance between logistics, transportation of petroleum products to the various locations. Now, we are yet to see any succor, and we are made to believe that things would, turn out fine. But from your own perspective, what do you think about how we've handled the situation? The government, the petroleum producers, what do you think about this whole situation, and what do you think, is the gaps that we're yet to...
My problem has to do with NNPC.
Right.
Because they are the sole importer of petroleum products. But my problem with them is that they keep telling Nigerians stories. What do I mean by that? Long time ago, they told us that by December, that in fact they have finished the turnaround they are doing in Port Harcourt refinery. And that by December, Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream. Already they are telling us again now that, by December, Kaduna refinery will be by 60% production and all that. You understand? They keep telling us those stories, and they will not be able to deliver on such promises. And that is the major problem. The major problem is that if the refinery, for example, the Port Harcourt refinery has come on stream, you understand? And if, for example, Dangote, because even Dangote, we have to understand the problem that he has. The government has not been able, NNPC has not been able to provide the crude that he needs to be able to do production. So they don't have enough crude. So they are now doing only diesel and aviation fuel. Until those ones come on stream, we will continue to have the problem because we will still depend on importation. And what I learned is that there was a shortfall in the importation because of the turnaround maintenance they were doing abroad. And in every refinery, whether we like it or not, you have to do turnaround maintenance. It's part of the business. You understand? But I think that if an NPC had been forward-looking or proactive, they should know that where their suppliers will need to do turnaround at a particular time, and they should have made provisions for it. So, but the problem we have now is that because of that shortfall, and then because the amount, the volume of fuel that we use, we'll have this kind of problem. I believe that in the next few weeks it will ease because the fuel is around. It's just now the logistics of be able to supply and do that.
So, BKO, your thoughts on this? Because even though we should be optimistic about the refineries, starting up in Kaduna by the end of the year, what are your thoughts on the way the government has handled this issue over the time?
Yes, is honestly, we have all kinds of problems. First, we will have had sufficient supply of PMS, if not for the devaluation of our currency.
Right.
Because initially, oil marketers showed interest. In fact, when some of them received their first petrol-laden vessels, they made an issue out of it, and newspapers and TV stations reported it. But the moment the value of the naira crashed against the dollar, and that problem of dollar liquidity reared its head again, most of them could not find the dollars with which they could bring in the product. So they decided to leave it to the NNPC as usual. And NNPC does not have enough capacity to store the products that they bring in. I still don't even believe that this importation is 100% by NNPC. I don't believe. And they know that it's not.
Why do you think so?
Because I have information. It's not everything that I know that I can say on air. But they know, those watching me, they know that that had not always been the case.
The truth is.
There are a few people that they allowed. You know? Remember, even when we had the contaminated fuel,
yeah,
it wasn't NNPC that brought that in, if you remember.
That was that.
So, and at that time, they were telling us that they were the only ones importing. So that's just, I'm just dropping that for people to know that it's not everything you hear from these guys that you believe. If they tell you it's 4 o'clock, check. It may well be 6 p.m. So that is the thing. They don't have enough capacity for storage. In the past, they had used facilities of those people who have tank farms and all that, including Capital Oil, if you remember. I won't go into all that. We would not have been in this mess if not for the value of the currency. Now, even manufacturers are struggling to access the dollar. Many of them are having to go to black market to access it. Is it from black market that people will be accessing dollars to bring in this product? When it was easier to access, they signified interest to bring in product. Today, they've run away because of the problem of dollar liquidity. Now, because we do not plan ahead, and because we've not tried to create something like
buffer,
strategic
right,
fuel dumps in our states, there's no reason why Kano, for example, should not have a strategic fuel dump where in moments of emergency we can turn to it. America does it.
Yeah.
When fuel is unbearably expensive, the president of America will release petrol from their strategic reserve, and they will use it to moderate prices. The same way we have strategic grains reserve, we should have such for PMS, because PMS is such an important product. I call it security product because, look, you can set the country ablaze.
Yeah.
If you allow this pain, for example, to linger for too long. People are angry already. So we can't have an NNPC that will allow it. It is borderline incompetence to allow this scarcity to happen. It pains me as a country because we are a big oil producer. Yet
we're suffering.
We are suffering over what we have in abundance.
What they have in Cote d'Ivoire.
Countries, we are going to countries that do not have, some of them do not even have oil deposits. We are going there to buy refined crude oil, to buy PMS. We are going to some countries of the world that they do not have a petrol, but they have refineries. They do not have crude oil, but they have refineries.
So this requires more like soul search on the part of the government and the part of the people.
Because for so long we didn't do what we should have done.
Right.
If we had refineries and we kept them working, if we were not just foolishly relying on importation because there's so much money in it.
Right.
Do you know how many billionaires we've made
of course.
out of importation of something that we could produce by ourselves?
Locally.
So everybody just pulled back. From the military era, we've had uninterrupted importation of petrol. And you are wondering why
We're in this mess.
we are in this mess. The Kaduna refinery, 110,000 barrel per day capacity. When was the last time it worked? When was the last time? This government is showing the determination to revive those refineries, because if we're able to revive them, the bulk of money that we spend to import petrol is still the highest guzzler of foreign exchange, importation of PMS. If we can fix those refineries, we will be able to supply the forex market a lot more, because we'll now move the money that we were spending to import product, we'll now move it into the market, and it will bring down
The price.
The rate. So we must solve the problem of these refineries, and hopefully when these forward sales that the Buhari regime made, when we come to the end, NNPCL will be able to produce crude for Dangote refineries. They are waiting patiently. I expect that by July, Dangote should start producing crude oil, because right now they cannot supply. Whatever crude oil they produce, despite the oil theft and all that, they are sending it to the people that they collected money in advance from. So that is the bind that we find ourselves. But they are telling us that by Wednesday, you and I know it's not practicable, that by Wednesday this problem will be solved. We will come back
it won't be solved
and show them videos.
It will ease. That's what they claim. Because, they have the product now. It's the distribution.
And it takes time now when everybody is coming to Lagos to lift petrol. Before you get to Maiduguri, it will take maybe about a week.
Yes, more than a week.
Minimum.
Well, let's hope that things will be resolved soon, because everyone really depends on petrol for the businesses and all. Well, let's quickly go on a very quick break. You're still on to Journalist Hangout. We have more in just a moment. Stay with us.
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux color center to get any color instantly.
Dulux, let's color. At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Now, the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, has continued to evade calls by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to show up for questioning. There are calls challenging his continued refusal to be interrogated following allegations of misappropriation of funds by the EFCC. The latest is coming from the former governor of Borno State, Samuel Ortom, who called on his colleague Yahaya Bello to show up for questioning and clear the air. A clear conscience, they say, fears no accusation. Mayor, let me come to you on this. I think I saw part of what the former Benue State governor was saying, because according to him, if he continues hiding, he's sending the wrong signal to all the governors that, they're not really incompetent, but he's sending a wrong signal about the governor. So he should come out, even if he doesn't have anything to hide, he should, go out for interrogation and just face the music, more or less. But what's your thoughts on how, things have gotten, or will I say degenerated over time, since he was being accused, allegedly, of fraud, money laundering, and the aftermaths thereof?
You see, EFCC is a very important agency. And corruption is a major problem that we have in this country. I consider. But if we want to practice, if we want a country that is anchored on the rule of law, then we must be seen to follow the rule of law. Personally, I don't like the style of the EFCC chairman.
Right.
The EFCC chairman is doing like, what he's doing, the things he does and say, were the things that the director of media in EFCC should be doing. It is wrong, absolutely wrong, for the EFCC chairman to call a press conference and be discussing matters of a case that is in court.
Yes.
Right.
It is wrong. As a lawyer, he knows that. He should know that. So when you do a press conference and you are trying to do trial by media, that is not right. That's number one. I concede that everybody, there was a time there have been some governors that have been to court and got injunction that they should not be investigated or tried. I don't agree to that.
Right.
I think the EFCC should have the right to be able to investigate anybody. But EFCC is not the court. So EFCC cannot find people guilty. What EFCC can do is to bring the case to the court, and the court, based on the facts adduced, will decide whether the person is guilty or not. But in this case, there are some issues that we have to look at. Yahaya Bello went to court. For whatever it is, got a judgment from a court.
Right.
EFCC went to another court. EFCC argument is that, yes, the court agreed with him that they should protect his fundamental human rights, but the court did not stop them from investigating him. And that what they have done is to go to a court of competent jurisdiction to get an order for his arrest. Why I don't agree with that is that people always go to court. You know, we discussed it one time when people go try to get ex parte orders. The ex parte order is that the other party was not present when you were getting that order. You understand? If the person had been put on notice, all the facts would have been put in front of the court, and the court would have been in a better position to come to a better decision. So, the court, for example, may not be aware that there is a judgment concerning fundamental human rights for Yahaya Bello.
Right.
When they were issuing that order. In fact, they know that because if you notice now that the appeal, they've withdrew the appeal, and now he has been served through subsidiaries, through his lawyers and all that. But I think that the EFCC should not muddle the water. Now that the client wanted or are complaining that he has not shown up, has been overtaken by events. As far as I'm concerned. Why did I say so? Because he has been served. He has been served by his lawyer, and there is a date for him to appear in court. You understand what I'm saying? So it is when he doesn't appear on that said date in court that you can now say he's liable or you can declare him wanted. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the court of competent jurisdiction, the court that you two went to, has said that, oh, they should serve him through his lawyers. Through substantive means. And now they've done that through his lawyers. So he cannot say he's not aware that EFCC wants him to come to court. His lawyers will brief him accordingly.
Yes.
So since he has been served, let everybody maintain status quo ante until the date that they are going to go to court. Looking for him or complaining that he has not given himself up, or some people advising him, as far as I'm concerned, is irrelevant.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. It's irrelevant because there is no need for us to advise him, go and give yourself up and all that. He has been served. He has a date in court. Yes. Let's wait for that date in court.
Well said. BK, your thoughts on this?
Yes, I agree absolutely with Mayor on this matter. The matter of the arrest warrant is already before the court. It's been argued and is subject of argument before the court. As far as Bello's lawyers are concerned, if the court,
go ahead.
If the Abuja court had been aware of that order, they would have. It probably would not have given that order. That is what the argument,
right.
And they come before the court to say, "Oh, what do we do in this circumstance?" The way it is now, May 10 is the date. May 10 is the date for the court to decide.
Right.
That is the date for the court to decide on whether to validate that warrant or not. But one thing is certain: when people say, "Oh, Fayose went by himself," or when Ortom says he should have gone, the circumstances are different. This person got a restraining order. Fayose didn't get a restraining order. And when you get a restraining order, you as a person will not on your own now go against an order that you validly got. That is the point that people are not talking about. I cannot, as a woman, for example, maybe I went to court and got a restraining order against my husband that I should not come like 1 kilometer close to where I am. I will not then take myself before him go to the front of his house. This is the thing. This is the
argument.
The argument. So I would advise the EFCC to focus on winning court cases, leave the drama. The issue of $720,000, for example, is before a court. And then you come before the press to talk about it in a manner that makes people wonder whether you are a trained lawyer. There's no need for that. And in the process, even those minors, you've exposed them to ridicule. Those children, he had been paying for those children since 2021. And you said that at the point when he wanted to leave office. Come on, these issues are not necessary. I appreciate what the school has done in good faith. You know, it's an American school. They don't want disturbance.
Yeah.
They said, okay, we are giving you this money. When the matter gets resolved, you can then return to us. Releasing that money to the EFCC is not proof that
The money
was taken from government coffer. You have to prove in court that money was taken from government coffers. With what banking instrument, you have to prove all of that. So this is the cross of the matter. I still think that if the EFCC will not busy itself with trying to win in the court of public opinion, it will be able to win a lot more of these cases because, as I said, it has a very bad record in prosecuting politically exposed persons.
Right.
And if it says it doesn't have a bad record, we can do a program here that will take us 2 hours. We'll be moving from person to person. Dimeji Bankole, Hassan, the former works minister, all of them that have been set free by the courts. You have to focus on doing the job.
Yeah, due diligence. Yeah, I agree with that position there. Well, we also have in the house lawyer, Barrister Matthias Emeribe. Good to have you on the program. Thank you so much for being here with us. So let's understand this issue. You're a lawyer, and we need you to, make it more clearer for us, because some have said that the case involving Yahaya Bello and the treatment the EFCC had given this matter, it wasn't well, coordinated. The EFCC shouldn't have done what it did because Yahaya Bello got a court order restraining the EFCC from arrest, and now we also had the issue that the EFCC chairman was being asked to, appear before it, why it should not be arrested for contempt of court. But, help us make sense out of all this. Who was in the wrong, who was in the right, and what should have been the right process in this case involving the former governor of Kogi State?
Thank you very much. Let me say here, with the greatest respect, that we first must admit that the system we run or we operate is a democratic system, which is anchored on the rule of what? Law. The implication, therefore, is that everybody will subject itself to the what? To the superior authority of what? The law. Now, when there tends to be a negation or a deviation, the import or the effect from the individuals has its own problem or its own effect, talk less of when you talk of an institution of government. We are not saying that EFCC, for me, does not have right to arrest Yahaya Bello, particularly by virtue of the law, whether you call it the Criminal Administration of Justice Act, or you call it the Constitution itself, or even the EFCC Act. They have a right and the power to arrest anybody. But to the extent that we have a situation where I was watching, even on your television, where the chairman of the body, of the institution, in other words, the symbol of that particular body, went to the media. And for me, that was a fundamental mistake and a fundamental error on his part. And for all intents and purposes, I understand that he's a lawyer. There are things you don't discuss on air. This is because what? You are dealing with an institution that has all the machinery to get the culprit, or better still, the suspect, wherever the suspect is. Now, and if you decide to say you want to do a media trial, you ask yourself a fundamental question. What do you want to achieve by this media trial? Or you are asking that the media should be the one, or the public should be the one to convict him first before taking him before the court of law? Or you are simply saying that you don't have confidence in our judicial system by virtue of that action? For all intents and purposes, this for me is a no-no. And that is where I feel that the institution of the EFCC have done wrong.
Right.
Therefore, for me, it is for the chairman in question. For all intents, first, he has been invited to Kogi to face a charge of contempt. And that is because of the fact that he went out of his way to discuss issue that is already before a court of competent jurisdiction. You don't do that. I was discussing this matter sometime today with some people. And some of them were saying, they cannot say anything wrong. I said, look, it's a different thing if he had gone there to say there's a 19-count charge against this thing. And that is what we are inviting him to come and answer. As against where you now went out of your way to say he moved this from government house to BDC, changed it, and then to the school. My brother, this is a fact that is exclusive within your own knowledge. If the other man comes, he may tell you a different story, that this is not what happened. So are you not saying that your fact is more? And unfortunately, the press, the media, the populace, and so on and so forth, they've gone with that position, believing that this is correct. You may not like the man, but our law, the good thing is that the law is there for everybody to follow.
Right. The law is fair to everyone.
For everybody to follow.
Right.
So he must have his day. Just allow him to have his day in court. Therefore, if you are coming out to say you want to bring him in, with all this action that you are taking, why should I trust you that you want to be fair to me, even when you do arrest me? Even when you arrest me, that is, even if I say, okay, I want to voluntarily submit myself, why should I trust you? If anything wrong happens to me, if you are taking this kind of stand now, what then will happen if anything wrong happens to me in your custody?
So you're in support of him not...
I'm not saying, with due respect, I'm not saying, first, for me, left to me, if I'm his lawyer, naturally I will advise that go and attend to this. I will follow him there.
Yes.
I'll follow him there. Go and attend to this. They've alleged that these are the things that you did. Since you are innocent, they say, what do you call it? A clear conscience, fear no
accusation.
Accusation. Yeah. So if you don't have any skeleton in your cupboard, there's no problem for you to go there. But again, because of that fear, that was why he quickly took advantage of our law. By virtue of Section 46 of the Constitution, you are entitled to approach the court where you feel that your right is about or is being or has been threatened. You go to any state, and that explains why the Kogi State High Court, because that state has a jurisdiction to hear the matter. I say go to any state high court. That was what the provision of the Constitution said. So he has taken advantage of that. What is wrong with that? The law is not about emotion. It is his right.
Yes.
And he has a duty to enjoy that right. And that is exactly what he has simply done. As to whether he did all those things, it's immaterial until you go before the court of competent jurisdiction. So I won't stand here to begin to defend him concerning whether those things are true or not. I will not do that as a lawyer. But what I can say is that if the steps and the procedure that the body established by law, because it's a creation of law, and mind you, whether the State High Court, FCT High Court, and so on and so forth, these are creation of the Constitution.
Right.
The EFCC, for all intents and purposes, is a statutory body. It's not a creation of the Constitution. It is out of the power given to the executive that body was created. So you now ask yourself, which one is superior? Therefore, if there is an order coming from a court of competent jurisdiction, nobody under Section 287 of the Constitution should disobey that order. That's why I say it is binding on all over the Federation to be enforced. So since those orders are there, the body vested with the power to investigate, arrest, and then go ahead to prosecute, has a duty to maintain status quo. So very well.
On the matter of this $720,000, I understand the case had been on for some time, and the court, hearing the matters, told the school, don't make a refund to the EFCC. Continue to provide the service that you've been providing to those children.
Yeah.
But we were shocked to hear that the
school has refunded.
Yes, has refunded the money. What is the implication of refunding the money, the sum of money that you received from a client to a third party? In law, what is the implication of that?
Naturally, it's like, what you call privity of contract. That contract exists between the people who made the payment and the school. It has nothing to do with the third party, which is EFCC, who is asking them to refund him. And the implication, therefore, is that by virtue of that contract, the school is bound to the person who paid that money. It's not bound to EFCC. Although, except where it can be established by EFCC, that very money is a product of crime.
Yes.
So if you trace it and becomes a product of crime, of course, it's of no moment, talking about the money in question. But that can only be done when a proper trial is conducted. In the absence of any proper trial for which a court of competent jurisdiction had made a pronouncement, that money continues to inure in favor of those that have used it in their transaction. So it does not lie in the mouth of a third party to not say, because it is criminal, return it, and the school quickly do what? Rust and return. Meanwhile, there's a substituting court order.
Yes.
Indicating or telling you, look, stay action concerning this money, don't really continue to render services. For me, that in itself is contempt of court by the action of the school, number one. Again, it is because when that happens, and the school is about to be brought before the court for that contempt,
yes,
they will bring the third party who took this money away from them. And what is that? EFCC. They will not they come and tell us why we will not have cause to imprison you.
Because they were aware of that court order.
Yes, because that court order, with all due respect, was something that you carried out between yourself. EFCC, I'm sure, would have been served with that court order.
Yes.
Even before they went
to
to
party to the matter.
So you cannot, so those are the danger in this kind of this that they are doing. So you see a very beautiful case that they have. They are indirectly doing what? Creating problem for it. And before you know it, one court case will come, the injunction, a matter that ought to last just 3 months, 4 months, they are through with the case. It will now linger on.
7 years. That's
because those technicalities will have to go out first before the real issue is dealt with.
So what then is the hope for cases like this? Because you already mentioned now that if this is how things will be done, because ordinarily it won't take more than 3 months to handle this case, what then is the hope for prosecution of cases?
It still goes back. That is why I said, for me, the action, especially that press conference that was conducted, it shows, with due respect, of an institution that is, inclined towards impunity rather than the rule of law. That's my thinking. Because if it is guided by the rule of law,
yes,
he will know the bus stop, he will know the border. He will know when to move and when not to move. You are not in a hurry. I mean, for all intents and purposes, criminal matters do not have expiring date in terms of offenses of crime. It doesn't have. So whether the person evades, you know where you will get him. And you will get him. And it would have been better if the man had even, if the institution had even kept quiet. They can even at the airport before they pick him there.
You know what I was even saying? If you look at the way this Ganduje matter went, the same judge that suspended him was the one that they went before and argued their matter before him. And the judge revoked the suspension order. That is the process. You either go back to that court or go to a superior court to have the order vacated. This was what they didn't do. And they just set out to arrest the man.
That's impunity.
The point has to be made that no matter how bad you feel about a court order, where we respect the rule of law, the court order must be obeyed. There was a time when Lamidi Papa of Labour Party was parading himself as the chairman, national chairman of the party, because they got a restraining order against Abure. They waited and waited. Abure waited and waited. By the time the appeal court vacated that order, have you seen Lamidi Papa parade himself as national chairman again? Abure has been going on parading himself as chairman. So these lawyers know the process.
Right.
Even if you have a cast iron evidence that Bello stole all the money meant for Kogi, that it was such a reckless thief, you still have to follow the law.
Right.
You follow the law, the right process, the same way Ganduje got the court to vacate his suspension order. Now he's going around, he's doing his work. You will have succeeded. You do not win court cases on the pages of newspapers. You do not win court cases in the court of public opinion. The EFCC has to change its methods and tactics. I was speaking with a friend, a very good friend of the chairman. I said, look, I don't have anything against this man. I was praising him with the energy with which he started the work. But if you do something wrong, I will tell you. That is my character. Even if you are the one paying my salary, I will tell you there's nothing you can do to me. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely. Final thoughts, Messiah. You just have about 30 seconds to wrap up on this.
Go ahead. Yes, for me, I think EFCC should wait. By 15th or 10th of May, if I'm not mistaken,
10th.
There will be a ruling concerning this matter. And I think by then, the ruling or whatever that is coming up would have given the leeway as to which path to follow. But in the circumstance, I will advise them to hold their gunpowder, because whether you like it or not, it still falls within their power to carry out, to go about, because what it will mean for me is that it simply means they already have the evidence.
Right.
The moment is arrested, straight to court. Not the one you arrest. You keep the person and say, I'm going for 14 days or 20-something days. That is another one that they may probably want to bring up again. They will not keep the person for about how many days. Say they want to get a court order to. Meanwhile, you'll be pursuing this. Meaning that if you have something, it means that you already concluded your investigation. You have them already with you.
Right. Well, that's it. We have to wrap today's edition of the show, Journalist Hangout. Let me thank my guests in the studio, Barrister Matthias and Meribe. Thank you so much for your insights on the show. And as usual, to thank our my colleague, I wanted to call you barrister. Babajide
Call me barrister.
Babajide Kolade Otitoju, thank you so much, sir, for your insights. And of course, we had earlier Mayor Akingpelu giving his thoughts earlier on the show. Well, that's where we have to wrap today's edition of Journalist Hangout. Don't forget you can watch a repeat broadcast of the show tonight at 11. Join us again on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mokwariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.
Now fever where your pikin gets. And as they had them to swallow something, now because of tetanus infection, for this wound where she gets so, tetanus now serious disease.
See my Fatima now. Not just 14 years old. This pain too much for her.
But to all this wahala for no happen, it to say she take her tetanus vaccine.
He don't collect all her injection that time when she be small pikin.
Pikin and big people them suppose collect booster doses too. Booster, they help maintain your immunity against all this yama disease, where fit they serious or even threaten life. Then